Okay, in this next area, what we're going to cover is the impact training. And remember that Kali has there's 7 ways that you can train Kali, and one of those ways is the impact training. So impact training being hitting a heavy bag, or it could be hitting any type of object that you could practice on, tires, anything, a tree, somewhere where you can you can practice your hitting, and it can be light or heavy impact. So in this case, you're going to use Cliff and Jamie, and they're going to demonstrate on the heavy bags some of the different drills that you can do, including Sinawali or single stick and different types of drills. So first I'll have Cliff come up, and he's going to do what you've been practicing is Heaven 6, and he'll do it on one of the heavy bags here, so you get an idea of how you can practice this on your own. Okay, time. Okay, thanks. Okay, so that would be just doing the straight Heaven 6, and then you can do it. I'll have Jamie also demonstrate the same thing, the Heaven 6. Now, the way we usually practice this, it could be in 30-second bursts. So if we're doing this in a class situation, you might have students lined up on each of the heavy bags, or they can rotate from each heavy bag. One guy can go from this heavy bag to the next, and it can be in if you're one person on a heavy bag, you might do it 30-second bursts. Otherwise, you might go 10 seconds per bag, or so many hits per bag. There's different ways of doing it. So I have Jamie do the same thing to Heaven 6, so you see someone else do the same drill. Okay, go. Okay, time. Okay, then you can take the Redondo or Umbrella 6 and do the same thing. So I have Cliff come back out and do the Redondo on the heavy bag, so you get an idea what that might look like. This is usually a little more difficult to do than the Heaven 6 because you have that one rotation of the stick, which sometimes sticks to the bag. So, but anyway, here we go. So. Okay, time. Okay, Jamie, you do it. Okay, time. Okay, and of course you can also drill a single stick on the bag as well, and you can go through several of the different Sinawali drills. Obviously you can do all the low ones. You can do standard 6, earth 6, so on. So now what I'd like him to do is Cliff's going to come out, and he's going to do the high, low, high, entry 3 basically, and then go into Heaven 6, and then Redondo 6. So you can drill it like that, so you can repeat it. Okay, so actually what you can do is, Jamie, you can do it at the same time on the other heavy bag, so you can get an idea. So they're going to, again, make the high inward, low backhand, high backhand, Heaven 6 after that, and then Redondo 6. Okay, ready, go. Okay, time. Okay, good. Okay, so that gives you a little idea of some of the impact that you can do with the double sticks. The next part we'll do is with the single stick, and they could even be doing the abanicos, which I didn't mention, also on the heavy bags with the double sticks or the single stick. So now you're going to freelance it with the single sticks. I'll just have them both come up and work them a little bit more and let them go freelance with a single stick and just go for it on the heavy bag for about 10 seconds. Okay, go. Okay, time. Okay, good job. Okay, so that gives you, again, an idea of the impact training with the single stick and the double stick, and this is how you could practice on your own if you have a heavy bag at home, or, again, some people stack tires or hang a tire from a tree. Obviously, if you hit a tree, you can't go that heavily, or you you will break your sticks, obviously, so you need something usually a little bit softer to work on. Okay, so that'll cover this part of the impact training. On this next part, we're going to be doing the sombrata again, but this time when we do the sombrata, the counter-to-counter contra sombrata, we're going to start to put the rear hand in. So now you're going to start to insert the rear punch, or the low line kicking, or knee it could be. So first I'm going to just give you the idea with Jeff, and then I'm going to have Jamie and Cliff come out, and they'll put a bag glove on their left hand and have the stick in their right, and this way they can tap each other if the opening is there. So just to give you an idea, maybe when you're doing the sombrata drill, maybe when you're hitting here, you have an opening for a punch on this side. And then when you're thrusting, maybe you see an opening in between these lines. So if I go like this and drop here, this is maybe where an opening might come in to play. Or if we're talking about maybe the kick, maybe I block here, put the kick in. Or it could be a kick like this, or a stomp, or if you had the opening, you could put the knee, and then maybe I'm coming here and Jeff puts his hand and he punches me when he sees the opening. I clear it out and counter again, and he comes back. So in these positions, you have to see, first you want to go slow because you have to see where that opening is for the rear hand to come in, or the rear knee to come in, or the lead knee or rear knee, or kicking. So when you're training it, first go slow. So maybe this is a shot that you're coming in over here, and you drift the guy to this line, and you see that the opening could be here for the hand to come in. Obviously, it could be a finger jab in reality. It could be any number of strikes. So what I'm going to do is have Cliff and Jamie do it as if they're training it in class, and they'll just try to insert the hand when they feel the openings. Okay, time. So this just gives you a little idea of how you might insert some of those tools. And of course, with the weapon in the hand, when the guy is punching or kicking, you have the opportunity to take care of that punch or kick with a stick. So if, let's say Jeff is going to hit me with his hand, obviously this, you can take care of that blow with the stick as well as with the empty hand. Or if he goes to kick, let's say I'm like that and he does a straight kick or something. So you have the opportunity to hit the leg or hit to him, or you could even stop hit if you're going like this and he starts to go, you could stop hit with the weapon as well. So again, this just gives you a little idea how to insert the other tools into it, because the rear hand and the empty hand is always important as well in the Filipino martial arts. In this next portion, we're going to go back to the espada y daga, or again, ulisi y daga, or bastani daga. So what we're going to be covering this time is the close quarter with that drill. Previously, we talked about going in close quarter, kind of like the higat hubad lubad drills, but now you do it with the ulisi y daga. So if we're going here, we usually refer to this as close quarter or dikit. So you're thrusting under, it's the basic. You take it off of this basic idea. So we're going back and forth. He thrusts under, I defend low, I defend high. I come back, I thrust under, he defends, and you come back. Now out of that, you start to go into variations of it, where you can go back with the waving technique, and obviously in between all these there can be hits. So then sometimes what will happen is you switch over, and I might feed the dagger high. If it's in that position, he picks it up on the inside. That can represent a hand hit. I can come back and pick it up this way to defend it, and then come back in. Then he could feed the dagger on a high line, but if I see it, it's more in line for me to pick it up with the stick outside. If I'm here and I can't get my dagger to that position because it's under, then I might want to pick it up outside and come back this way, and then go back to the basic idea of the drill. So again, you have the basic flow, and then you have all the variations within that flow. So there's many more variations, but we're going to give the basic idea. See, this time, the way he fed it, my dagger was already here, so I'm going to pick it up with the dagger hand, come back down, and then I can hit out, or he could hit first, doesn't matter, and then we go back into the flow. So we're doing this. If I feed, when I come back, I feed high. If he's in that position, it might be good for him to pick it up this way, then go back in. He might feed the dagger. He comes back in. Or sometimes maybe if he feeds it on the low thrust line, so we can cover it and go back and then come back to the flow again with this position. So this would be one of the drills that you can do in close quarters. And this would be a good basic to start with, and then out of here you start to develop more and more of the possibilities, and you'll start to see your own possibilities as you're doing it. The main thing is what you're doing has to be efficient, and you have to look at where the strikes are available. That's always one of the main things. So when you're making a motion, if you're doing something, you always want to think about when he's coming in, what the possibilities of his weapon are as well as yours. So maybe he could flip at that point to hit me, so I have to have this stick ready to go. If he's coming in here, obviously I'm coming down, but if I go like this and forget his stick, I could be whacked over here. So I have to think about where his stick is. He has to think about where my weapon is. So each of us has to constantly think about the other part of the weapons, the daggers, and then if you have the kicks in there, you could also put the kicks in as well. We're going to go back to the abecedario, but this time, again, we're going to do it with the Olise Idaga, but in this time around, we're going to feed it and mix the numbers, because in the abecedario, you want to mix the numbers after a while, and you also want to put in, which we haven't done yet with the Olise Idaga, the dagger part. So first, to give you an idea, rather than feeding going through the numbering system and going 1, 2, 3, 4, you start to mix the numbers. So, and again, you also use footwork, but for the purpose of the video, we're going to stay fairly stationary. So I might feed 1, and then come back over here and feed a 3, and then come back up here, and then go uppercut. And then maybe I'll even give another uppercut, just to give it variety, so he doesn't get used to following any particular pattern. So you can just mix the numbers, don't follow any particular pattern, and just let the guy respond. And if a person, as I said previously, is having problems with one particular number, you can keep repeating it. If your training partner can't get an angle 1, you just keep going like this, feed him angle 1 over and over again. But right now the concentration is on mixing the numbers. So you could put thrusts, give another thrust, give another thrust, come back, another thrust, come back, and then go uppercut. Give odd angles sometimes. Things are a little bit harder to pick up. Come back, and just mix any place. Then with that, you also want to give the dagger. So let's say I start even on an angle 2 over here, then I feed a dagger, so that he has to pick that up. Then we go like this, then I feed a dagger. Then I give another angle. Then I feed a dagger to another thrust. And with another angle, come back with a dagger. So now he has to get used to also to picking up the dagger hand. And so you could do that in a couple of ways. One is that he would do the gunting on his stick, hit back, and then I automatically feed a thrust. Then I could feed the number 2 angle in the Illustrissimo system. He comes back, and then I feed the thrust. Feed the angle 3, pick it up and feed the thrust. Or you could intersperse the dagger randomly and go 1, 2, 3, and now put the dagger in and let him respond. Then come back and then put the dagger in, and then come back with a couple numbers, and then come back with the dagger again. So you can do it randomly, or do it 1 daga thrust, 2 thrust, 3 thrusts. So there's a couple different ways that you can train that one as well. In this next part, we're going to do the Sinawali drills again, but this time we're going to do them in a slight environmental condition. Some of the environmental conditions are going to be hard to put on videotape, as far as waist deep water and working in mud and that type of thing. But we're going to be out, at least in the outdoors, in the grass, where it's a little bit harder for your footing. And Jeff and Jamie are going to do a little bit of going from standing to kneeling to lying down and back up again, and those kind of positions. Ideally, it would be good to do it uphill and downhill, and as I said, in water and mud, and practicing in all those ways. But some of those conditions don't necessarily apply to modern day life as much anyway, but it's good for the art to practice that way. So we're going to start out, just let these guys work the Sinawali drills. They're just going to go on their own, freelancing, going from standing. Anytime they want to kneel, they can kneel. Jamie goes in a lying position, and then both sitting, and then both lying, or they can continue going. They can get up. And of course they can circle or move around. And Jamie can go down again on his back. He can stay on his back, Jeff can stay standing. And then come back up again. Okay, time. Okay, so that again gives you a little bit better idea, some of the ways you can train the basic Sinawali drills. Okay, in this part of the video, what we're going to be doing is, again, imitating some of the environmental conditions that can be encountered if you were in a jungle type of terrain with vines or trees or that type of thing, where you don't have much room to maneuver. So if you were under vines and that type of situation, you're limited on the types of blows that you can use. So I'm going to have Cliff and Jamie work under the bow staffs to imitate that type of situation, and they're going to be limited on the vertical overheads, that type of thing, so they're only going to be able to use more of the horizontals or the thrusts, and they'll do it from kneeling, sitting, squatting. I'll let them freelance, and they can kind of go through it the way they want, and they'll have to deal with the conditions. Okay, go. Now this could be higher, which would give them more room, or it could be lower and put more pressure on them, so they're really having to deal with the low line situation. So usually you hold it just above so that they don't have that much clearance from their heads. Now if they go into squatting position, both squatting, okay, that's obviously harder on the legs and the working from this position. So every time that one comes up, it's hitting into the brush. Now if that were a blade, it might get stuck. Okay, time. Okay, so that gives you one more way to train in environmental types of situations. All right, the next drills we're going to go into in the Sinawali, or the double stick, are the first one we're going to do is go into what's called the half T or the T. So we're going to start out, the first basic is you're just going to, there's a lot of variations of this. The first one we're going to do is just go out with the hand this way. So you're going, first I'll do it this direction, and then you come up. And this can be done, this part can be done on a high line, so you could just go to here. It can be done to the middle line, or it could be done all the way to the ground and then come up. And then there's different variations at the end, but we're just going to keep it basic with the backhand. So when we come in, we're just going to go backhand. We'll go down as if we're hitting the foot, come back up, and then we're going to go 1, 2, 3, redondo 3, or umbrella 3. Come back and come up and go with the umbrella 3. So you go backhand, down, up, umbrella 3, backhand, come back up, umbrella 3. Now, if you combine that with the abecedario type of feeding, what you can do is Amy can feed an angle 1, I can do the gunting, and then we both go into the drill this way and go 1, 2, 3. She feeds the left hand, I do the gunting, go into the half T on this side and the umbrella 3. Then I can feed her, she does the gunting, we both backhand, go into this part, umbrella 3. I feed her the left hand, she comes back in, and we go into the drill. So you have the option of just the beginning way is just to go with the backhand. If you choose to go all the way down, come back, and then on this side If you start here, you can go like this, backhand, come back in, and then 1, 2, 3. Okay, then you have it with the gunting, so you counter their shot, you come back, go back in, 1, 2, 3, counter the left hand, and then back in, 1, 2, 3. Then I would feed Amy, she goes with the right, and we both go, 1, 2, 3. I feed her the left hand, we both go back into here, and then 1, 2, 3. Okay, so that would be using the half T, and then following up with the umbrella, coming back with umbrella 3, and then doing it with the gunting. Okay, staying with the double stick drills, we're going to go back and show some of the Sinawali variations that you can do as far as putting in other elements into the Sinawali. So after you have the Heaven 6, Standard 6, Earth 6, then you can start to put in other elements to that. So if Jeff comes out, if you're here, let's say for instance on the Heaven 6, you can start to, after you do your Heaven 6 like this, Jeff can start to thrust on the first line. So I can just deflect this, so he's thrusting, and I just can still do my deflection like this on that. And of course, we could actually move this where he could have me retreating, so I could go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, coming back this way. Then I can come back and thrust him on this line and come back in with the thrust, and then he could come back, so on and so forth. So the thrusting line is another element that you could add into the Sinawali. So basically you're giving a forehand thrust on each side. So if I go here, backhand, backhand, I feed here, backhand, backhand. And obviously you can vary that, but that's a good way to start. Another thing that you could do on a Sinawali is when he hits the angle 1, I can do the gunting and then backhand, backhand, gunting on this. So you could go with it matched the way I'm doing. So if he hits the 1, if I do the gunting here and I give the 2 backhands, I match him with the right and left. But you could also go like this, and I could go with the opposite stick so it doesn't come out matched. So you can blend it so you're matched or unmatched. So every time he hits that one angle, I just do the gunting and then come back. And again, you can go like this so that you're hitting with the other stick so that you get practice coordinating both hands. So that would be putting the gunting in on the Sinawali drills. And what we're going to do this time is putting in a reverse grip. So if we're doing the drill this way, say the Heaven 6, we're moving this way, you can also do it so that your hand is reversed. So you could have one hand reversed, or I could have my hand reversed, he can have his hand the same. We can switch back out and go so that you get practice with the different grips. Then when you feel comfortable, you could switch it. If you keep going, we'll just switch. And then I do it with the left hand like this, and he could do it with the left too, or I could keep it this way. And then when I feel like it, I could switch back. So sometimes, see, you give a double tap to get the rhythm back. So let's say I mess up here and I'm missing, then I go like that to get the rhythm back so that I can come back into the reverse grip. Okay, that's one way you can do it. Another way you can do it is go like this. So you go cob, cob like that. We could do it like 3 or 4 times. So go 1, 2, 3, 4, switch. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Back 1, 2, 3, 4, switch. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So that would be another way to train it. When you switch the grip, you could do it this way, or some people slide, whatever you prefer. Sometimes the sliding back is a little bit harder, but you can practice it either just switching it so that your fingers are doing the switching like that, and then you come out. Or if you feel comfortable enough, when you're doing this, you could slide so that it's in a reverse grip position this way. Okay, so that would give you another way to, an element to practice in the Sinawali drills. Now we're going to move into the abecedario again. So in this, of course, abecedario is when one person's feeding, the other one's receiving. And what you're going to do is now mix the numbers. So again, rather than feeding the same numbering system and going 1, 2, 3, 4, this guy has to start to respond. So I can feed the right hand, left hand. I'll just feed Jeff slow, but I'm not going to give him numbers in any order. So rather than giving the one with this hand, I could give the one with this hand. So left and give him feedback, then come back to the right and give the right again. I can thrust here, and he just responds to whatever I'm feeding. I'm not going to give any pattern to my feeding. So he just has to respond. So, and come back. So you can feed the right hand twice or the left hand. So that would be just mixing the numbers where you have to respond. And again, you can go left hand, right, left twice in a row or 3 times, and thrust. So you just mix the numbers around when you're feeding your partner. And that's good for the response because you just have to constantly be on the defensive, picking up the angles that the person's feeding. Another way you can practice some of the double stick drills would be to go from a bicidario into sombrata. So let's say Jeff is feeding me a bicidario. So we're going through this way. And then from here, when we're doing this drill, I go like that and we go right into sombrata. So you can practice going from sombrata back into the bicidario. So then when we go back, maybe next time, I'll feed Jeff and I'll go back out here and then he goes back into this. And then you just give your partner sort of a warning and then bang, and then we go back into the sombrata and mixing the pattern around. Then he can come back out, break out, and then when I go back into the bicidario, he can back me up even with advancing and coming in this way. So you're feeding the double sticks. And I just have to keep responding. Okay? Then the other element you want to put in would be for you not to always have to do the gunting, obviously. So if Jeff hits an angle 1, I can do the gunting and come back. But obviously there's a lot of other responses, which we're not going to get into all the responses, but obviously you could do a counter stroke outside coming in. You might go with a thrust coming in and coming back this way. You might obviously do the roof block with the right hand coming back. You might roof block with the left coming back in. You might thrust as a counter thrust and cover at the same time. You might diagonal slice to the hand without the other stick involved and then come back in. So there's a lot of ways that you can respond, so you can start to mix the numbers and the response. So let's say he's feeding the thrust rather than me going with the gunting here and doing this. You might go like this and go pap, and then this would be your response, which he would pick up. So rather than going pap, pap, your response could be with the left hand, and then he could feed again and come back and do different responses with the bicidario. All right, in this next part, what we're going to cover is they're called the running attacks. So these are the running attacks are named after the archangels, actually, and so their names: San Raphael, San Gabriel, San Uriel, and so on and so forth. So San Miguel is another one. So what we're going to do is Amy and I are going to start over here. We're going to start with Raphael, and there's 2 versions. There's an A and a B version. So the A version, what you're doing is you start with the entry 3 or inward low backhand, high backhand. Now you just spin, you give 3 backhands, and then you go into redondo or umbrella 3. Then high, low, high, spinning backhand, and then umbrella 3. And then Amy would back me up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, umbrella 3. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, umbrella 3. So that's version A. Version B, now when you do this, you go 1, 2, 3, you give a reverse 1. So if this is angle 1, we're going to give a reverse 1. So we go 1, 2, 3, reverse 1, you step behind, hit the kneecap, and then spin out. So it's a spinning ortobus. Then come into umbrella 3. Then we go 1, 2, 3, give a reverse 2, step behind, go for the kneecap, spin out, and then umbrella 3. Then she comes forward, 1, 2, 3, reverse 1, low backhand, spinning backhand. Then 1, 2, 3, reverse 2, hit the knee, come out, umbrella 3. One more time on the version A. When you do this, you just spin and give 3 backhands to the umbrella 3. This is version A again. Spinning 1, 2, 3, umbrella 3. She'll come back with version B. 1, 2, 3, reverse 1, hit the knee, come out. Then 1, 2, 3, comes over, back, and then out. Okay, that's the San Raphael. Now the next one we're going to do is called Sent Oriel. So on this one, we're going to double the 1, double the 2, and double the 1. So we start out this way, come forward. So we go 1, 2, and you would actually run these and even cover more ground, but for the purpose of the video, we're actually shortening our steps. In reality, it might be going like this and running forward. So we're not going to do that for the video because we'll run out of room even outside here. So when we're doing this, it's going to be chop the steps. 1, 2, 3, reverse 1, hit the kneecap, spin out, umbrella 3. Then 1, 2, 3. I'm chopping the steps. Come back out. So 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Come out. Then 1, 2, 3. Spinning backhand and come out here. So again, come forward a little bit. So we're going to start here. So it's 1, 2, 3. Right here, give the reverse 1, low backhand, spin out, and then go into umbrella 3. Then it's 1, 2, 3. Give her the reverse 2, spinning backhand, and then come out. And then she comes forward. 1, 2, 3. Reverse backhand, spinning backhand. 1, 2, 3. Then 1, 2, 3. Spinning, comes back. 1, 2, 3. Okay, so that's San Oriel. Now, next one we're going to do is into Gabriel. So San Gabriel. This one starts with the pie or cob. So you go 1, 2, make an X with the right, X with the left, X with the right. Now you do the same spinning backhand and into the same umbrella. So it's 1, 2, 3 X's. 1, 2, 3. Spinning backhand and umbrella 3. So we go 1, 2, 3 X's. 1, 2. You normally step with every motion when you switch hands, but we're chopping the steps. So she goes left hand, left X, right X, left X, comes around, spinning backhand, umbrella 3. One more time. So it's 1, 2. I would step right, step left, step right. Spinning backhand comes around, umbrella 3. Then left, right, left X, right, left, spin, come out, umbrella 3. So that would give you now St. Gabriel. So you have 3 of the running attacks to practice, and you have the version A and B on San Rafael. All right, in this next part, we're going to get into a little bit of the sparring drills that you can do. There's so many different ways that you can spar. Some people like the real hardcore way of sparring, where you have almost no equipment on and you just hit each other with the weapon, except for maybe a helmet, that type of thing. That's a personal preference of the type of sparring that people like. Others with the sticks put on the full gear for the body equipment. And they each offer something, and you can do sparring putting in the kicks, punches. You could go as far as putting in elbows, knees, throws, sweeps, ground fighting, choking. You can do all that. But you could also limit it and develop one particular aspect of sparring. Certain aspects will develop certain reflexes and certain use of the weaponry. Other things you might do might develop another aspect of the art. So again, there's so many different ways of doing this. For the purpose of the video right now, I'm going to have Jeff, Jamie, and Cliff do a little bit of sparring. We're going to start right now. We're talking about dagger sparring. So we're going to go with the daggers, and they're going to hold them in the sock grip. And they're going to start first with the right hand. And a progression that you can do is first, I'll have Cliff and Jamie come out, and they're going to do just hand sparring. So you limit it to just using the hand to cut. They can't cut the body or the leg or anything, or they can't put the rear hand in. So you just limit it, and they move around and go. So they can only go after each other's front hand to dagger hand. So this would be one way to spar with a dagger. Okay, so now another way to do it would be if we have Jeff come in now, and he can do it with Jamie, and they could have the double dagger, but they're still limited to going only after the hands. So right now we're not even going into the body or putting kicks in or that type of thing. So now they would just go into double dagger, trying to cut the hands. Okay, so always one hand will be more dominant than the other, but you try to use somewhat both hands. Okay, so that would be an example of doing a double dagger. We're going to just keep moving along so we, for the time on the video. So the next thing I would like is that now we'll have Cliff and Jeff go. Okay, so this time now they can go with a single dagger again, let's say, and Cliff, take this dagger, and now they can go into the body also. So now we'll say that they can go to the body and the leg, but they're not putting kicks in yet. So now they can do it this way, and they can thrust the body. And they're obviously not cutting each other's face right now. They don't have a headgear on, but that could also be an option if you did have a headgear, and safety is obviously always first. Okay, next way we can do it is now they don't have the shin guards and equipment on, but I'll have Jamie come back, and he can go with Jeff with the single dagger, and they can gently, right now I just want them to go easy for the purpose of the video, just to illustrate, and they can kick each other as well as using the single dagger. And they can go to the body with the dagger where they can okay, time. Okay, just so you have little samples of the type of thing that you can do. Okay, next I'll have Cliff come back out again, and he can go with Jamie. And what they're going to do is, this time Jamie will put the dagger in reverse grip. So now, but we're not going to put the kicks in this time. So now they're going to go reverse grip and go from there. So now Jamie has to think differently in a different reverse grip. And then, okay, time, and now we'll reverse it. Now Cliff goes reverse grip. And that's a disarm, obviously. Okay, you go back. Okay, so time. So that gives you another way to do it. Then you can take it, so both people in reverse grips. Okay, time. Okay, then Jeff can come back out again, and then you could, these are some options that you can do. So you're just going to go a few seconds each. So you can have the reverse grip in the left hand, so, or the pakal and the sock in the right, and then you can spar it this way, but without the kicks still. Okay, time. That gives you an idea. Now you can reverse it again, reverse the grip in the right hand. Now you can do it this way. So now they can spar with the reverse grip in the right hand, with the left hand in the sock grip. Okay, and again, if you had the headgear on, they could then go to the head, and then we could put kicks in. Okay, time. Okay, so that'll give you the basis, some of the ways to spar. So you're going to the body, going to the hand only, putting the kicks in, reversing the grips on the dagger. We didn't have them. They could go left hand versus right hand, reverse grip in the left hand versus the sock grip in the right, so on and so forth. So there's different ways that you can do it. Okay, the other position I'd like them to do now is that they can take the gloves off. So start with Cliff and Jamie again. You can, they're going to go into a tie-up position like this. Okay, so they start in a tie-up position, and now they start from there, and they just go. So now they're trying to cut or break free. Okay. Okay, now time. Okay, now Jeff will come out with Jamie. The same thing. Okay, go. Okay, time. So you get, that gives you the idea. Now the other way to do that would be kneeling. So Jeff and Jamie again. So you do the same thing, but you're down on one knee, like that, and then you start from here, and they try to control and obviously cut out of it. Okay, one more time. And this is where the grappling comes in, but you can see the knife is digging into the thigh of Jamie. Okay, time. And another way you can do it is, we'll just do it for illustration purposes. Jamie on your back, and then Jeff over him. And you can start with the knee, like Jeff can have a knee on his stomach. This way, and then from a tie-up position like that. And they could start from here. You don't even have to do it now. But that would be the position you could do it from from that position. And then also you can try it from the guard, you can do it from the mount, and you could really vary it and try different positions to see how the different grappling motions incorporate with the dagger and how dangerous some things can be with those with the dagger in your hand from the grappling standpoint. Okay, in this portion we're going to continue with this sparring, and now we're going to have the guys with the equipment on, and they're going to go through some different sparring drills or actual sparring, full contact, but they'll be using the equipment, which we kind of personally prefer for the safety reasons. And if people are sparring all the time, there's only so many hits that you can take on your body. After a while you're going to wear out. So for the students, usually it's sparring, it's with the equipment on, so at least they get the feel of it. And there's nothing that can really imitate fighting, obviously, with a weapon, because the slightest thrust to the eye or a hit to the head can never be imitated. So as soon as you put gloves on and a helmet on, you don't really have realistic conditions anyway. There's nothing that's realistic except full contact with no equipment. So we're going to just put on the equipment, and I'm going to have these guys do some different sparring. They're going to use single stick, double stick. They'll use the bow staff, spotty daga. Okay, so first Jamie and Cliff will do just a single stick sparring, and they'll go a few seconds just to show some of that. So go. Okay, time. Okay, so what they use in that, obviously they're not putting in any kicks again, there's no rear hand punches, and in that particular case they weren't even putting the thrust in or throws or sweeps. Now they're going to go with the double stick to give a little different perspective. So in this case, just going to use the double sticks, again not putting in the throws or kicks. Okay, time. Okay, now Cliff will go out and Jeff will come in, and Jeff's going to use the spotty daga with Jamie. So they're going to use the long and short. Now again, you can mix this where one guy has the olisi and the dagger, and the other guy could have double sticks. The one guy could have a single stick versus a stick and dagger. So it can really vary, and you could how you do the sparring. So again, we'll do it this way with the stick and dagger, both people. So from here, we'll go a few seconds and try and put in the thrust with the dagger. Go. So if you notice, whoop, there's a disarm, there's a thrust with the dagger. Okay, time. Okay, so you can see the disarm came in from the hit on the dagger and the thrust. Okay, next they're going to go with the bow staff to show a little bit of that. So Jeff and Jamie will go with the bow staff versus bow staff. So they're going to, now they can use the thrust, and they can use both ends of the staff. So they can, now obviously they're not going to go too hard on the thrust for the safety of the video here, but they're just going to go at it. Okay, ready, go. Okay, time. Okay, so that'll give you the idea of the sparring with the bow staff, but it could also be done with a double end as well as this single end, and putting the thrusts in as well. Okay, in this next part of the environmental training, we're going to do a drill where these guys are going to spar around a tree with just a soft stick for now, just to give the idea. And it just gives the idea if you had to rotate and move around an object and what it might be like to try to hit someone when there's an object between you, and give you the circling. So if these guys, Cliff and Jamie, come out, and they can just start right in, start moving. But they have to keep the tree between them, so they don't want to completely go around. Okay, time. So obviously a tree creates a vertical obstruction where some of the things that they try to do are going to be out of the question. You could tell some of the sticks are obviously hitting into the tree sometimes. So if you had blade and you're fighting for your life, it gives you an idea what you might have to encounter if you were doing this type of warfare, which in the jungles in the Philippines, they had actual jungles that they had to deal with as opposed to just a single tree. So it gives you a little perspective on how difficult that might be.
There's a lady there at the picnic table. Is she going to get in the
Jeff
chair?
is.
Where's my hat?
He's gonna lose it.
Okay. The power, the power of the star formation. Okay.
Why don't we put this one here so Jeff's...
I'm set, Bob. I'll regain it, don't worry. Have to be aware of the overhanging bow staffs. Excuse me.
Bloopers, Kali bloopers.
We didn't have any yesterday. This is-
The bow staff vine is a new thing. We are growing in Princeton.
Okay.
Those wild bow staffs. Things grow all over the place.
That's where we get our bow staffs. Not cut them down.
Bow staff tree.
You notice they grow out of these trees?